All right, what's up, people? My name is Alvin, and I'm here to talk about my torn Achilles. So, on August 18th, I was playing basketball with my kids. Just kind of lunged forward, wasn't doing anything crazy, and I felt this pain like someone punched me in the back of my left leg. And at first I thought my son stepped on me or did the ball hit me or something. It was just kind of confusing, and my foot just had this weird feeling like it was connected but not connected. So thankfully, at the time I was on the military base, so I just allowed my kids are slightly older, so I allowed them, told them just continue playing. I drove over to the ER, and right off the bat, they have a test they can do to test the flexion in your foot to see if your Achilles has ruptured. And they did the test, and it's like, yeah, it's ruptured. So they put me in a temporary splint. They angle your foot down into a forward, so that way the Achilles can be a little bit closer connected. We call plantar flexion, and wrapped me up. And maybe it took like an hour and a half. I went back to the gym, picked my kids up, went home. So my appointment to go see Ortho was probably like maybe 9 or 10 days after this. So during this time, I had to try to figure out, I started doing research whether I wanted to do the surgery route or just let it heal naturally. There's a lot of information out there about both, and studies show that there's only a 5% chance of re-rupture between allowing it to heal naturally and not doing surgery. So it was something that if I could avoid surgery, I wanted to. However, when I went into my appointment and he checked it out, my doctor, he said, but the experience is like, yeah, I think you got a full rupture, because I hadn't had an MRI yet. He was also kind of annoyed that the ER just didn't do an x-ray, because I guess sometimes when your Achilles ruptures, it can rupture from, you can have a break in the bone at the heel of your foot, but thankfully mine wasn't like that. So when I told him what I had read and what I had researched, and I asked him about, like, do you think I can go do this without surgery? And he was like, his opinion was, he thought surgery was going to be the best option, especially for the things that I like to do. So, and I was like, well, this was on a Tuesday. I'm like, so if I do decide to go the surgery route, how long would that take? He's like, I already got you on the books for Thursday. So I was like, well, but yeah, so I had surgery. I had our 8:30 in the morning appointment. Went in, they get you ready, they explain everything to you. Then they tell you that they can use a nerve block where they inject it just below your knee, and it's going to numb your leg, and it's going to help deal with that pain on day one. So I said, yeah, I would take the nerve block. I did that, and from there went to surgery, got home. And I learned from a previous surgery on my shoulder that anesthesia makes me nauseous. The last time I threw up, so I also let my doctors know that, and this time they gave me some nausea medication, so I didn't have that issue this time. Got home, I pretty much slept for most of the day. The pain was not too bad because you're coming from surgery. They had given me something at the hospital for pain, and then they also had given me some Percocet, which is, Percocet comes in 3 different variations of a mixture of acetaminophen and Oxycontin. And they also provided my wife with a Narcan kit, surprisingly, because it is an opioid and you could accidentally overdose if you're not taking it properly, but that wasn't going to be an issue for me. So the nerve block, it is really weird. If you've ever, I know I've done this before, in the middle of the night you wake up, your foot is falling asleep or something, and that your one leg touches your other leg and you feel it, and that just totally weird sensation. That's what that nerve block feels like. Your toes are just, it's like you're not in pain, but at the same time, the feeling of the nerve block, I guess my impression of it was kind of like you just don't feel anything, but it's like you don't feel anything, but at the same time you have this tingly sensation, and it's just really weird, and it really becomes like very annoying. So, and it also lasts up to 24 to 36 hours. So that was the other thing. Once the pain medication from the surgery started wearing off, that sensation was just really kicking in. It became really annoying, especially when I was trying to go to sleep that night. But right at the 24-hour mark, mine started to wear off. I have a friend who also unfortunately had his Achilles rupture, and he told me he experienced something similar, but his wore off after 12 hours. So it's going to vary from person to person. So I stayed on the pain medication for I would say about 5 or 6 days, just to be on the safe side, because I know from my previous surgery I really didn't want to take any opioids or anything like that, and I made the mistake of like, oh, I feel pretty decent now, I'm not going to take the pain medication, and within a few hours I realized how much the pain medication was helping, so I continued to take it until I didn't need it. So right now I am about 12 days post-surgery, and as you can see now, I am in this temporary cast that has a hard back, a soft top, and they wrap it up. I go back to the doctor next week, about just slightly more than 2 weeks post-op, and they're going to take that off. They're going to remove my stitches, and at that time I'm going to go in the boot. So this is just my initial update, and I would just say for those who have ruptured their Achilles, just make sure you get it checked out as soon as possible. That's the most important thing, because you can it's going to affect your prognosis and your long-term recovery with the proper diagnosis, and making sure that you get to a doctor so they can get your foot in that plantar flexion position, because you don't want your Achilles being too tight, and on the inverse of that, you also want to make sure it's stabilized. You don't want it being too loose, depending on, if you had a full rupture like I did, or if you have a partial tear. But I'm going to do another follow-up update after I go to my appointment next week. Let you know how that goes, and that's going to be it for right now. Appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. Y'all have a good day.